Today we are going to begin with GOC Part 2, lecture number 30. In Part 1 of the course, we have had a detailed discussion on the nomenclature of organic compounds, and Part 2 we are discussing about isomerism. And in isomerism, the topic that we are discussing is optical isomerism currently, and we are on to lecture number 5. Now, in the last lecture, we started the discussion on elements of symmetry. Why did we start the learning of elements of symmetry in optical isomerism? Well, the first and foremost thing in optical isomerism is that you should be able to identify whether the molecule is going to show optical activity or not. Only then you will be able to do other things that are going to be required. So the first and foremost thing is identifying in a molecule whether the molecule is going to be chiral or not, whether it is going to show optical activity or not, whether it is going to have an optical isomer or not, whether it is showing enantiomerism or not, whether it is going to have a non-superimposable mirror image or not. So all of these things, they mean one and the same thing. So first of all, what do we want to know? We want to test for the chirality of molecules, and in that what you have learnt is that if the molecule has one chirality center, 100% that molecule is going to be a chiral molecule, 100% it is going to show optical isomerism. But now if the molecule has no chirality center or the molecule has more than one chirality center, what about those molecules? So to understand that, we started learning about the elements of symmetry. The first element of symmetry we learned in the last lecture was the plane of symmetry. If plane of symmetry is present in a molecule, that molecule is going to be achiral. It will not show optical activity. So now we are going to learn about the rest three elements of symmetry today. The first one being center of symmetry, the second one being axis of symmetry, and the third one being alternate axis of symmetry. The center of symmetry we will be discussing in detail because that is something that you should know in class 11th and class 12th. Center of symmetry and plane of symmetry, both of them, if they are present in a molecule, both or either of them, fine. So if plane of symmetry, the molecule is going to be optically inactive. If center of symmetry is going to be present in a molecule, the molecule is going to be optically inactive. If both of them they are present, obviously it is going to be optically inactive. Fine. So next is going to be axis of symmetry. For example, if axis of symmetry, this is present in a molecule, well, the molecule, this may or may not be optically active. So axis of symmetry is not going to be very much essential to understand about optical isomerism in compounds. So I will just tell you what do we mean by an axis of symmetry with the help of an example. Okay, and then we have alternate axis of symmetry. I will be telling you about this also. What does this mean? But for class 11th and 12th, you do not need to apply this to various molecules to find out whether this a molecule will be having an alternate axis of symmetry or not. For you, plane of symmetry and center of symmetry, that is going to be sufficient. Fine. So this is all that we will be learning in this lecture. I am Dr. Ritu Jauhar, your educator from H2O Chemistry, and I hope you are going to enjoy this lecture with me. So let us begin the learning. So let us start the learning with first of all the center of symmetry and understand what do we mean by the center of symmetry. The definition first, an imaginary point through which if a line is drawn from an atom or a group, it will encounter an identical atom or group at the same distance in a direction opposite to the imaginary center. Now what do I mean by this? Let us understand with the help of an example. The example I am taking is of a water molecule because that is my favorite. H2O and my channel H2O Chemistry. So that is always going to be my favorite molecule. So in this water molecule, what we have is that there is no center of symmetry present. Now why am I saying that there is no center of symmetry? So here I am going to consider an imaginary point at the center of the oxygen atom. Okay, and if there is a center of symmetry present, well, if I'm moving on one side, I encounter a hydrogen atom, I should be able to move from the center of symmetry the opposite direction by the same amount to get another hydrogen atom. Okay, so it is going to be like this. If this is the center of symmetry, this side is a hydrogen and this side I do not find anything. Similarly, this side is a hydrogen and on this side I do not find anything. So from a center of symmetry, it should be such a point that on either side, when I'm encountering a molecule on an atom on one side or a group of atoms on one side, I should be able to go from this point the opposite direction, the same distance, and encounter the same type of atom or the same type of group of atoms. Okay, so in this, what do I find is that there is no center of symmetry present, because from wherever I may start, for example, if I start from this hydrogen atom to be the center of symmetry, fine, so I should encounter an oxygen atom. On the other side there should be an oxygen atom. If I'm moving this way, I encounter a hydrogen, so the opposite way I should be able to encounter a hydrogen. I am not able to do that if I put this way a center of symmetry at this point. Okay, so anywhere in this molecule, if I find a point from where I can encounter identical atoms or groups in the opposite direction, well, I will be calling that to be the center of symmetry. So this molecule does not have a center of symmetry. Now this should be applicable to every atom of the molecule. Whichever point you are choosing as the center of symmetry, from that point you should be able to encounter an atom or group of atoms just the same way, equal distance in the opposite directions. And this is going to be applicable to three-dimensional formula and not to the Fisher projection. So Fisher projection, this is a two-dimensional projection of a three-dimensional structure. So never try to find out the center of symmetry in a Fisher projection, because you will be going wrong, and I will show you this also with the help of an example. Okay, so let us see one more example. The molecule that we are discussing over here, for example, this is a central atom which is surrounded by three atoms. So this can be a BF3 molecule. Okay, so in this BF3 molecule, well, if this is going to be the center of symmetry, well, again what you will be finding is that the center of symmetry is going to be absent, because if from this I move this way a fluorine atom, the opposite I do not find any fluorine. If I go this way, I find a fluorine, opposite way no fluorine. This way a fluorine and opposite way I do not find a fluorine. So BF3 molecule, this does not have a center of symmetry. We are going to discuss many molecules so that the concept this becomes perfect. So let us look at the next molecule. I have the NH3 molecule and I have the benzene molecule C6H6. So in NH3, what you can see is the nitrogen. If I move in a certain direction, I will be finding a hydrogen atom, but opposite direction, if I move the same distance, I will not be finding any hydrogen atom. Similarly, hydrogen atom this side, opposite direction, no hydrogen, hydrogen atom this side, no hydrogen. So in ammonia molecule, there is no center of symmetry present. Whereas in the benzene molecule, I encounter the center of symmetry. The center of the benzene molecule, if I move in a particular direction, I encounter a carbon and its hydrogen. I move the opposite direction, equal distance, I encounter a carbon and its hydrogen. Similarly, this way a carbon and hydrogen, the opposite direction, equal distance, a carbon and hydrogen. Here again a carbon and hydrogen, opposite side a carbon and hydrogen. So benzene molecule, this has a center of symmetry, and wherever a center of symmetry is going to be present, that molecule is going to be, again I am repeating, achiral. Fine, I hope this is clear. If a plane of symmetry is present, the molecule is achiral. The center of symmetry is present, the molecule is going to be achiral. Any of the two is present, the molecule is going to be achiral. Both of them, they are going to be present, the molecule is going to be achiral. Now the next molecule that I want to discuss with you is going to be very important molecule, and here first of all I want you to understand one thing. Okay, so supposedly I have a bed, okay, a cot, and on this cot I have tied up 4 posts vertically up where I'm going to tie a mosquito net. Fine, and obviously this is a cot, so this is going to have 4 feet also. So these are the vertical rods which are forming the feet of the bed on which the bed is standing on the floor. Fine. Now I ask you that just tie a thread from one, this is the center of the bed, okay. So this center, I just want you to tie one thread which is joining this post to the other post on the opposite direction, okay. So how is your thread going to move? It is going to move first of all down, and then it is going to move up, right? I hope this is clear. Okay. Now supposedly if I ask you to tie a thread from one post to the opposite foot of the bed, so this is going to come as one single thread. First it will come down to the center, and then it will go down to the foot of the post. So this is going to be one straight line. So now supposedly if I tell you that there is a CH3 group over here and a CH3 group over here, right? So if I move a distance x this side, an equal and opposite direction, it is going to be a CH3. Fine. So I hope this is clear to you that if I move from the center of this bed and I encounter a CH3 above, I will encounter a CH3 in the equal and opposite direction when this CH3 group is going to be below. Fine. If it is a CH3 present over here, well, and obviously there will be a hydrogen present over here then. Just let me clear it out. So here it will be a hydrogen. Fine. So if I'm encountering a CH3 from the center of symmetry, the opposite side I will be encountering a hydrogen. So this molecule will have no center of symmetry. Fine. But whereas when I had a CH3 group over here, well, the molecule thus had a center of symmetry, assuming the rest of the post being occupied by hydrogen atoms. Okay, I hope this is clear. This will become better if you look at now another molecule which is going to be very important for you people to see. So here in this molecule, what you can see is that this point, if I assume this to be a center of symmetry, I move in one direction and encounter a NH, opposite direction NH, a carbon, a carbon, a carbon with a carbonyl group, that is the oxygen with a double bond. So this oxygen and this oxygen, they will be equidistant from the center, and this is going to be in the plane of the ring. Okay, here again we have a carbon and a carbon, no problem, equal type of atoms at equal distances in the opposite direction. Here you can now see that this carbon, this has a CH3 group above the plane of the ring, a hydrogen below, a hydrogen above and a CH3 below. So now if I'm going to pass a thread from this CH3 passing through the center of the molecule, this thread is going to go downward and encounter a CH3 just like the post and the foot of the bed. Okay, so this is how I will be encountering the two CH3 groups opposite to each other and an equal distance from the center of symmetry. So this compound, this will be having a center of symmetry. This is a trans compound because on one side I have a CH3 above and on the other side we have a CH3 below. Fine. And if you look at the cis compound, in the cis compound you can see that CH3 both are below the plane of the ring, and the two hydrogens, they are above the plane of the ring. So now if this is going to be the post of the bed, I will be passing through the center, going down, and I will be encountering at the foot a CH3. Okay, and because they are going to be different groups from the center, well, this molecule will not be having a center of symmetry. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you people that in a trans compound you can see a center of symmetry, whereas in the cis compound you are not able to see that center of symmetry. Let us see one more molecule. So in this molecule, well, this is a
ethene molecule. So here what you can see is that this is the carbon. So if from the center I move equal and opposite direction from the center, carbon and a carbon, this side it is going to be a hydrogen, this side it will be a hydrogen, this side a hydrogen, so opposite I find a hydrogen. So this molecule will be having a center of symmetry. Let us see one more molecule. So again here from the center a carbon, from the center a CH3, a CH3, from the center a chlorine and a chlorine. So again in this molecule a center of symmetry is going to be present. The molecule is going to be a carbon. Now the next molecule we will be discussing is going to be a very important molecule, the molecule of tartaric acid, without which the study of optical isomerism is not going to be complete. A molecule you will be seeing in all the lectures of optical isomerism coming every time. Okay, so now in this molecule, first of all, what I want you to tell is what is the IUPAC name of this compound, which we have not discussed till now, and we are going to do some amount of time spending on this molecule over here. All right. So this is carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, carbon number 4. This means this is butane 1,4-dioic acid. Position number 2 and position number 3, there is an OH group. So that is going to be 2,3-dihydroxy butane 1,4-dioic acid as far as the IUPAC name of the compound is concerned, and commonly we call it as tartaric acid. Okay, first of all, this thing should be very clear to you. Now in this compound, what we want to find out is whether this molecule is going to show optical activity or not. First thing what we did was we found out whether this molecule has how many chirality center. This is going to be chirality center number 1. This is going to be chirality center number 2. Because this carbon and this carbon, this is attached to 4 different groups, a COH, a OH, a H, and this whole group for this carbon. And for this carbon again a OH, a H, a COH, and this whole group. So all 4 different groups, 2 chirality centers. So we are not 100% sure whether this molecule is going to show optical activity or not. Fine. So what do? We check on to the elements of symmetry. So first element of symmetry you learned in the last lecture was plane of symmetry. I draw a plane like this. I find that on one side I have a H, a OH. So this is not going to be a plane of symmetry. If I draw a line, I draw a plane like this. So what will I be getting is a H and a OH, a OH and a H again. So this would be not a plane of symmetry. In fact, in this molecule, you will not be able to find any plane of symmetry. Next, we move on to the center of symmetry. At the start of the lectures of center of symmetry, what I told you was that a Fisher projection is not a very good way to find out the center of symmetry of the molecule. For example, in this molecule, if I consider this to be my center of symmetry, if I go up, I will be finding a C and a COH, a C, a COOH, this side a H, this side a H, a OH, and a OH. So what I would be concluding from this discussion is that in this molecule, well, a center of symmetry is present, and if center of symmetry is going to be present, well, this molecule should be optically inactive. But what we find is that this molecule is optically active. If we draw a mirror image compound for this, well, I hope you all can do that. I'm not going to do that now. And try to superimpose those two. Well, they will not be superimposable on each other. And the two compounds, they will be called as the enantiomers for each other. Fine. So now, why does this molecule have a center of symmetry? Well, this molecule does not have a center of symmetry, and as it is, this is a Fisher projection, and a Fisher projection you will be falsely understanding that this has a center of symmetry. I'm going to just now show you the model for the compound so that you understand, well, this molecule does not have a center of symmetry. But then how are you going to see that in the examination? Well, you will be able to see that in the examination when you will be drawing the Sohos projection for this molecule. Okay, so you will be learning in the upcoming lectures also about the Sohos projection for molecules where there are going to be 2 chirality centers, and you will be able to convert the Fisher projection into the Sohos projection. I will be teaching you that also, and then you will be able to understand whether the molecule this has a center of symmetry or not. Okay, so that is something that will be coming up in the upcoming lectures, but for now I'm going to show you the model of this compound to explain to you whether in this molecule center of symmetry is present or not. So you will be having a complete understanding. And for that model, how are you going to do a projection? Well, you will be understanding that in the upcoming lectures. Okay, I hope this is clear. But this molecule does not have a center of symmetry. Now I want you to look at one more compound, because I will be showing you the models for both of them together. Fine. And the other compound is this one. What is the IUPAC name for this compound? Carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, a COH or COH. So this is going to be butane 1,4-diegoic acid, and it is a 2 and a 3 OH group, so it is going to be 2,3-dihydroxybutane 1,4-dioic acid. So this compound has the same IUPAC name as this compound. These two compounds, they have the same molecular formula. These two compounds, they have the same structural formula. What is the difference in them? In this, what you can see is on this side of the carbon-carbon bond, what we have a H and a OH, or here you have two H on one side and the two OH on the other side. So they are differing in the spatial arrangement of atom. They are both are stereoisomers. And these are which type of stereoisomers? Well, if you draw a mirror over here, what you will be finding is that these two are not going to be mirror images of each other. They are not mirror images of each other. These compounds, they are going to be diastereomers. Fine. I hope you all remember that enantiomers are going to be those compounds which are going to be the mirror images of each other, but the non-superimposable one. But if we have two stereoisomers which are not mirror images of each other, well, they will be called as diastereomers. So these two, they are going to be diastereomers for each other. And this compound, this has a special name. This is called as mesotartaric acid. Why it is called as mesotartaric acid? Why are we going to use that word meso is again something that I will be talking about in the upcoming lectures. But just for now, remember that this is called as mesotartaric acid, and this is the molecule which you saw in the last lecture, where we said that this molecule has a plane of symmetry. Right? So if I draw a plane like this, there is going to be a hydrogen this side, a hydrogen this side, a COH, a COH, or OH, or OH. So these two are going to be the mirror image halves of each other. This molecule has a plane of symmetry, and this molecule is optically inactive. Right? This molecule is optically inactive. This molecule is optically active. And along with that, if you consider now, this is again a Fischer projection. And in the Fischer projection, when you're going to think about a center of symmetry, well, if I move this side, I'll be finding a hydrogen, on the other side a OH. So you will say in this molecule, center of symmetry is going to be absent. But actually, center of symmetry is present in this molecule. Fine. So never draw a Fischer projection to find out the center of symmetry of the molecule. Okay. So in this molecule, center of symmetry is present, as well as plane of symmetry is present. Whereas in this molecule, we do not have a plane of symmetry. We do not have a center of symmetry. We find this compound to be optically active. We find this compound to be optically inactive. Okay, so for tartaric acid, you will be able to have three isomers, two enantiomers, one this compound and one its mirror image compound, and the third one is going to be this compound which we call as mesotartaric acid, which has a plane of symmetry. Okay, so this compound will not show optical inactivity. And now I'm going to show you the models for these, so that you can understand whether these compounds actually they do have a center of symmetry or not. So now consider this model to be the model for tartaric acid. Here we have the green one to be the COH group. Then this is the carbon which is attached to four different groups. This is going to be one chirality center, and this one is going to be the other chirality center which is attached to four different colored balls, right? So a green ball, a red ball, a blue ball, and a black ball similarly for this one as well. Now let us assume that this blue one is the OH group and this red one is the hydrogen. Okay, so here you can see is that this is the carbon single bond. On one side of this you have a OH group and a hydrogen, and on the other side a hydrogen and a OH group. Okay, so this is the structure number 1, tartaric acid. And this one over here, just to differentiate it, the COH group I have put up with the yellow balls. Here you can see that these two OH groups, they will be on one side, and the hydrogens, they will be on the other side. So this is going to be the structure for mesotartaric acid. Okay, so first of all, let us see this one. So here what we want to find out is whether this compound, this has a center of symmetry or not. From the Fisher projection, what you was thinking was that this compound had a center of symmetry. Fine. So here now what you can see is that this is the point which you were imagining in the Fisher projection to be the center of symmetry between the two carbons, the bond. Fine. So if I move this side, I will be encountering a carbon, this side a carbon. Okay, if I move forward, well, I will be encountering a blue ball, going backwards a blue ball, a red ball going backwards a red ball. So far so good. But now when I move from this to the center of symmetry, I have to go further down to encounter a ball at an equal distance. So the green ball, rather than being just on the same side, well, this should have been downwards so that it would have been a center of symmetry. Now what you are seeing is that this is one ball and this is the other. So you are not going to have an opposite direction, a same green ball. So this compound, this does not have a center of symmetry. I hope you now understand. And what we will be doing is we will be learning to draw a sawhorse projection for this. Then you will be able to tell in the projection whether this compound has a center of symmetry or not. Okay, now let us look at mesotartaric acid. So in the mesotartaric acid, what you can see is this is going to be the plane of symmetry first of all, right? So you can see the two halves, they are going to be the mirror images of each other. Now in this compound, well, in this position, what you will be seeing is that this is the center of symmetry. Well, if you go this side, you will be finding a red ball, and on the other side it is a blue ball. So again, a center of symmetry is not present. But well, no, that is not correct. So here what you have to understand is that this compound, this has a carbon-carbon single bond, and around a carbon-carbon single bond, free rotation of the atoms is possible. So I can just rotate this molecule by an angle of 180 degree in this position. Well, it would be actually this way, right? Just let me just put it together. Fine, this way. So it is going to be this way now. A free rotation is possible, and this one and the original one, what you saw was they were the two conformations for the same molecule. So again, conformational isomerism is one thing that we have to still study, but now over here, this is the same compound that we were talking about, just the two conformations for that. And here, this is now the point of center of symmetry. This side a yellow ball, the other side the yellow ball. This you are having a blue ball, just go backwards the same distance, you will be finding a blue ball, and this way a red ball, and the opposite way a red ball. So this way, now in this position of the molecule of mesotartaric acid, what you find is that a center of symmetry is going to be present in the molecule. Okay, so mesotartaric acid, this has a plane of symmetry as well as a center of symmetry, whereas this compound, which is tartaric acid, well, we will be having no plane of symmetry. If I put a plane like this, well, there is going to be no plane of symmetry. I can put it this way, I can put it in any way I want. There will be no plane of symmetry, as well as there will be no center of symmetry in this molecule. So I hope now this molecule, the tartaric acid molecule, this is clear to you that although the center of symmetry is not going to be visible to you, which should be the center of symmetry in the Fisher projection, but now you know that in this molecule, the center of symmetry is absent, whereas in mesotartaric acid, center of symmetry was present. Okay. Now the next one, what you can see, this compound here, let us see whether center of symmetry is present. So this is what we are taking as the center. Okay, so this is the center and the plane of the ring of the cyclobutane. So this is cyclobutane, and cyclobutane, what you can see is there is a hydrogen above the plane, a COH below, a OH above, a hydrogen below, a H above, a OH below, a COH above, and a H below. Okay, so when we are going to draw center of symmetry, well, first of all, the carbons, if you go on the diagonal, well, you will be encountering one carbon, the other side another carbon, a carbon and a carbon. So that is easy to understand. Now for the rest. So from one group on the diagonal, if you are having this hydrogen above the plane of the ring, you should be able to encounter on the other side of the diagonal a hydrogen below the plane of the ring. So this is one post above and this is one post below the cot. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Fine. So this is going to be a hydrogen above and a hydrogen below. So this is going to pass through the center of symmetry. Similarly, a COH below to a COH above. Again, a center of symmetry, a hydrogen and a hydrogen, a OH and a OH. So this is going to be, yes, a center of symmetry is present in this molecule as well. And when there is center of symmetry, the molecule is going to be achiral. The next one, what you can see is the CH3 molecules. So here we have the carbon in the center. If you consider this to be the center of symmetry, a hydrogen, opposite, no hydrogen. A hydrogen, opposite side, no hydrogen. A hydrogen, opposite side, no hydrogen. For this one also, there is going to be a hydrogen this side and opposite side, a no hydrogen. So this molecule does not have a center of symmetry. So what you can remember is in this sp3 hybridized atom, you do not find a center of symmetry. Okay, and well, in this molecule, what you found was that a plane of symmetry is going to be present, hence this molecule is going to be achiral. Now the next one, what you can see is we have a central atom which is surrounded by 5 atoms of the same kind. For example, this can be the PCl5 molecule, and in this, well, if you move upwards, you will be finding a chlorine, a downwards a chlorine. Yes, these are same, but again for these three, well, you will not be finding a chlorine atom on the opposite side. So in the PCl5 molecule also, center of symmetry is going to be absent. So now let us quickly look at a few more molecules. In the SF6 molecule, sulfur in the center, this is going to act as a center of symmetry. Identical group of atoms or groups equidistant in the opposite direction. So this way, as well as this way, center of symmetry is going to be present. In H2O2, what you are going to find again, this is going to be the center of symmetry. The two oxygen atoms, the two hydrogen atoms equidistant, opposite directions. So center of symmetry is present. In the trans-2-butene, what you can see is this is going to be the center of symmetry, where we have a double bond between the two carbon atoms. If you go on right and left sides, you will be finding the two carbon atoms from this point, and if you're going to go this side, a CH3 opposite to it, a hydrogen and a hydrogen opposite. So trans compound, this has a center of symmetry. You've already seen it in the previous example also, whereas in a cis compound, center of symmetry is going to be absent. Okay, the plane of symmetry, we had found it when we were slicing the atoms in the XZ plane. I hope you all remember that the hydrogen, the CH3, the carbon, this carbon, all of these atoms, they will be sliced into halves. Okay, so here you will be having a center of symmetry absent, but the plane of symmetry is going to be present for the molecule whenever you have a planar molecule. I hope you can now identify in a molecule whether it will be having a plane of symmetry or a center of symmetry. Plane of symmetry, we've done it in the previous lecture. Center of symmetry we have done now, and these two, they are going to be the only elements of symmetry that are essential for class 11 and class 12 students to understand about optical isomerism in a compound. Okay, now I will be telling you about the rest of the two elements as well, because we mentioned them, but that is only for an understanding purpose. So the third element of symmetry, this is known as the axis of symmetry, AOS. Fine, and we define this as the imaginary axis around which, by rotating through a minimum angle of rotation, that is a 360 degree by n, the same compound is obtained. Okay, so we are going to have an imaginary axis. We are going to rotate the molecule around that imaginary axis. We will be doing that by a certain amount of angle. Okay, and if we rotating that molecule through a certain amount of angle, we get the same compound back. We call that to be the axis of symmetry. So for example, in this molecule cis-1,3-dimethyl cyclobutane, if I rotate it by an angle of 180 degree, I will be getting the same molecule back. Okay, so the two structures, they will be indistinguishable from each other. Let us look at the structure. So this is 1,3 dimethyl cyclobutane. So 4 carbons in the ring cyclobutane, and at position number 1 and position number 3 we have a methyl group. Fine, and this we have drawn here as the axis of symmetry, not the center of symmetry, the axis of symmetry around which we are now going to rotate the molecule. What this means is, for example, if you take a paper and you make a hole in the center and pass a pencil through that, and then you just rotate the paper around that pencil. Okay, so that means that would be the axis of symmetry. Around that pencil you can rotate the paper. Okay, so that would be the axis of symmetry. So here we have this to be the axis of symmetry, and I'm telling you that if we rotate this molecule by an angle of 180 degree around this axis, what would be happening? If I rotate this, CH3 would be coming here at this position after a rotation of 90 degree, and it would go here at a rotation of 180 degree. These H at a rotation of 90 degree would be coming here at an angle of 180 degree. This would be reaching here. This CH3 would be reaching here at an angle of 180 degree, and these two H, they would be reaching here. So what would be the result? The result would be this. And if you look at these two, what do you find? Well, these two, they are indistinguishable from each other. They are identical to each other. And hence we have found an axis of symmetry. And by what rotation did you find it? 180 degree. So that would be 360 degree divided by 2 when you will be getting 180 degree. So this has a two-fold symmetry, which we'll be calling as a C2 axis of symmetry. Okay, so this axis of symmetry, this will be referred as to the C2 axis of symmetry. Okay, now this may or this may not be present in a chiral molecule. I will be giving you an example of that as well just a few moments from now. But before that, I want to talk to you about the alternate axis of symmetry as well, because that is not in your curriculum. I just want you to have an understanding what is an alternate axis of symmetry. Okay, so the next we have is the alternating or the improper axis of symmetry, and as I've already told you, this is not going to come in your examination. This is only for your understanding. Fine. So this is where we are going to rotate the molecule through an angle of 360 degree by n about its axis, just like we did for the axis of symmetry, and then we are going to follow this by a deflection in a plane perpendicular to the axis. And if the molecule after these two steps, well, it attains the original molecule configuration, it is said to have a n-fold improper axis of symmetry or a n-fold alternate axis of symmetry. And if this is going to be present in a molecule, the molecule is going to be optically inactive. Let me give you one example, and the example that we will be discussing is 1,2,3,4 tetramethyl cyclobutane. Right, so we have this as the cyclobutane ring, and in the cyclobutane ring what you can see is that each of the carbons, it is having a CH3. But how are the CH3s arranged? Well, if you look at here, we start with carbon number 1. Any can be carbon number 1 because all of them, they have the CH3. First of all, this should be clear to you, right? So this one is below, this one is above, this one is below, and this one is above. Does this molecule have any axis of symmetry? First of all, think about that, right? So if I start with this carbon, well, I can just rotate it at an angle of 90 degree. What I will be having is the hydrogen will come here and the CH3, and this is going to shift further. But then I can start with this as carbon number 1 because all of the 4 carbons, they are identical. All of 4 of them, they have the CH3 groups. So actually, if I rotate this molecule about this axis by an angle of 90 degree, I get an identical molecule. Fine. So this has a four-fold axis of symmetry because it is identical after a rotation of 90 degree. Fine. So this has a four-fold axis of symmetry. All right. Now, does this molecule have any plane of symmetry? First of all, let us talk about that also. So if you check across this diagonal, when you're going to have a plane of symmetry across this diagonal, it is going to cut the CH3 group into half, this carbon into half, the hydrogen atoms into half. These all, they will be cut into halves. The carbon, the hydrogens, I hope you all remember, we have done this in the plane of symmetry. So one hydrogen along with this carbon would be cut into half, and the two hydrogens, they will be going to one side each. Okay, and these two, they are going to be mirror image halves, because this also has a hydrogen above, this also has a hydrogen above, a CH3 below, a CH3 below. So we are going to have one plane of symmetry along this diagonal and one plane of symmetry along this diagonal as well. So there are two planes of symmetry, and there is a n-fold axis of symmetry for this molecule, that is a 4-fold. Right? So both of them, first of all, you can identify in the molecule they are present, whether a center of symmetry is present. So if this is going to be the center, well, if I move from this CH3, I will be encountering a hydrogen over here, right? Similarly, if I start from this hydrogen, what will I be encountering? I will be encountering a CH3 over here. So this molecule does not have a center of symmetry. It has an axis of symmetry. It has a plane of symmetry along the diagonals. Okay, now what we are going to check is whether this molecule has an alternating or improper axis of symmetry. So this is the molecule that we were discussing and trying to find out whether it has the alternate axis of symmetry 1, 2, 3, 4 tetramethyl cyclobutane. So this has a 4-fold axis of symmetry. If I am going to rotate it by an angle of 90 degree, I should be getting an identical structure, right? So when I have done it, what you can see is this was my carbon number 1. Now this is my carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, 4. So I have given it a rotation by an angle of 90 degree. But now, rather than calling this to be carbon number 1, I am calling this to be carbon number 1, because both of them, they are the same. Why they are the same? Because all of the four, they have the same groups that are attached to it. So this is also going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 tetramethyl cyclobutane. It is just, I am looking it over here, and now I am looking it at differently. That is the only difference. So even I rotated by an angle of 90 degree, a further angle of 90 degree, a further angle of 90 degree, well, I will be getting the same molecule. Okay, so this is the axis of symmetry, which we call as the 4-fold axis of symmetry. 90 degree rotation, we are getting the same molecule. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now the second step over here that we have to follow is that we have to place a mirror over here in front of this molecule, which is perpendicular to the axis of rotation. So this is the axis of rotation. I have placed a plane which is perpendicular to this axis of rotation. If it would be parallel to this axis of symmetry, I would have placed a mirror over here. So now this is a plane which is acting like a mirror, and when I see the image of this molecule on the other side of the mirror, what it will be looking like? It will be looking like this. Okay, so this is the axis of symmetry. If you look at this carbon, well, this hydrogen and this hydrogen coming this side, a CH3 coming this side, right? So CH3 H going back, a CH3 back, a hydrogen forward, a H forward, a CH3 back. So this is the mirror image of these. Okay, and now I have done two steps. First of all, I have rotated this molecule about the axis of symmetry, right? So by an angle of 90 degree, and then I am even seeing the reflection through the mirror. Now what I want to check is whether these two molecules, they are similar or not. Are they identical? Well, yes, they are identical to each other. You find no difference in them. A CH3, a CH3, a H, a H, a H, CH3, H, CH3, CH3H, and a HCH3. So these two molecules, they are identical. So after these two steps, if you find the two molecules to be identical, well, the molecule, this has an alternate axis of symmetry, and the molecule is going to be optically inactive. But you do not have to find this alternate axis of symmetry in your examination for class 11 and class 12. Okay, so I hope now this is clear. So now that you have understood the four elements of symmetry, the plane of symmetry, the center of symmetry, the axis of symmetry and the alternate axis of symmetry, I want you to look back at two words which I told you in the start of the last lecture. That is asymmetry and dissymmetry. And I want you to understand the difference between these two. So what you know is that the non-superimposable mirror imaged molecules, they are going to be optically active molecules. Such substances may be asymmetric or they may be dissymmetric. You use the words synonymously, but actually there is a slight difference between these two. And the molecules which have none of the four elements of symmetry, they are said to be asymmetric. All stereoisomeric compounds capable of existing as pairs of non-superimposable mirror images despite the presence of some elements of symmetry, they are called as dissymmetric. Okay, so if all the four elements of symmetry they are absent in the molecule is called as an asymmetric molecule. Whereas if some element of symmetry is present but still the molecule is a chiral molecule, still the molecule is optically active, we call that to be dissymmetric element. Okay. So next let us discuss the example of 2,3-dibromobutane and see whether this molecule is going to be a chiral molecule or not. So the first thing we check is the number of chirality center in the molecule. We find two chirality centers, two carbons which are attached to four different groups, and we cannot say for 100% sure whether the molecule is going to be chiral molecule or not. Then we check the elements of symmetry. Plane of symmetry is going to be absent. If it is going to be in this direction, the plane, well, we will be having a hydrogen on one end and the bromine on other, so they are not going to be bisected in such a way that the two halves they are mirror images of each other. Similarly, if you make a bisection of the molecule this way also, you will be having a H and a Br opposite each other, so they are not going to be mirror images of each other. So no plane of symmetry. Then this molecule does not have a center of symmetry as well, because in the three-dimensional representation you will be able to understand when you have done that in the next lecture. This molecule is just like tartaric acid. Instead of the COH groups there are the two CH3 groups, right, and a Br instead of the OH groups. So this is exactly like the tartaric acid molecule where we have the two groups on one side of the asymmetric carbons to be different. Fine. So these both are different on one side of the asymmetric carbons, and this is on the other side of the asymmetric carbons, and the center of symmetry is going to be absent in this molecule. You will be definitely able to appreciate this after the next lecture. Do not worry about that. Fine. So this does not have either a plane of symmetry nor a center of symmetry. Alternate axes of symmetry you do not have to bother about. Next, let us see just for a moment the axis of symmetry, because I've told you whether this molecule may or may not have an axis of symmetry. It is not going to affect the chirality of the molecule, and that is why I've chosen actually this example. So I want you to see the axis of symmetry in this molecule. This axis of symmetry, this is passing through the center of the molecule at right angle to the plane of paper. So if these two carbons they are present on the plane of paper, and at 90 degree to that, if you pass the axis of symmetry, that is the position of this axis of symmetry. And now this molecule is going to have a C2 axis of symmetry, meaning if I rotate this molecule by an angle of 180 degree about this axis of symmetry, what I will be getting is this structure. Okay, so I am holding my axis of symmetry, rotating the molecule about it. So what will happen is this CH3 will go in this position just like this, and this H, this will be coming over here, this H going over here. So this is going to be essentially the same structure. So structure 1 and structure 2, they are indistinguishable from each other. Fine. So this molecule, this has an axis of symmetry. First of all, this is what should be clear to you. Now, if you look over here, what I have done is this was my structure 1, and I have drawn the mirror image of this structure. So this is structure 1 and this is structure 2, and these two, they are mirror images of each other, and these two mirror images, they are non-superimposable mirror images. And when they're non-superimposable mirror images, this means that the molecule is going to show optical activity. Okay, and this molecule is dissymmetric and not asymmetric, because this molecule, this has an axis of symmetry, so not all elements of symmetry are absent. Only three symmetrical elements, they will be absent. Even the alternate axis of symmetry will be absent in this molecule. We are not trying to check that. We will be checking only the plane of symmetry and the center of symmetry. Axis of symmetry is present in this molecule, yet this molecule is optically active molecule. That is what I wanted to teach you over here. Fine, so I hope this is clear. So what we can conclude is that all asymmetric molecules, they are going to be dissymmetric, right? Because all asymmetric molecules, they have 4 elements of symmetry to be absent, and the dissymmetric element, it may have some element of symmetry to be present. So all asymmetric molecules, they are going to be dissymmetric, but all dissymmetric molecules may not be asymmetric. Both dissymmetric and asymmetric molecules, they are going to be chiral molecules. Okay, both dissymmetric and asymmetric molecules, they are optically active molecules. In order to avoid confusion, the term chirality is used instead of asymmetry and dissymmetry. I hope now this whole discussion is clear. So finally we come up to the conclusion of this lecture, where now we are going to talk about the necessary and sufficient condition for optical activity. And what you have learnt is that a molecule is not superimposable on its mirror image. That compound is going to be optically active compound. If the molecule has a mirror image, but the mirror image and the compound, they are superimposable on each other, that compound is going to be a chiral compound. It will not show optical activity. So the necessary and sufficient condition for optical activity is that the molecule should not be superimposable on its mirror image. Okay, and for this, now what we have learned is that a molecule can exist in the enantiomeric form. It can show optical activity only if the molecule has dissymmetry. Okay, so I hope now you understand the difference between dissymmetry and asymmetry. If the molecule does not have a plane of symmetry, it does not have a center of symmetry, if it does not have an alternate axis of symmetry, well, that molecule is going to be a dissymmetrical molecule. It may or may not have the axis of symmetry. So a molecule can exist in enantiomeric form. It can show optical activity if the molecule has a dissymmetry. A molecule may not have this symmetry even if it has a chiral carbon. This you have seen. The meso compounds, these may have 2 or more than 2 chiral carbons, but they do not exhibit optical activity. For example, the meso-tartaric acid example you have already seen. So this compound, this has 2 chiral centers, but yet this molecule, this is not going to show optical activity because it had a plane of symmetry present. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Also, what you have to remember is that the molecules, they can be optically active even without having a chiral carbon. For example, the allenes. The allenes, they have no chiral carbon, but still they show optical activity because of the dissymmetry of the molecule. So this is an allene where we have a carbon-carbon double bond that is going to be consecutive in nature. 2 carbon-carbon double bonds consecutive. Fine. So this carbon is going to be what hybridized? It is going to be sp2 hybridized. This carbon is sp hybridized. This carbon is going to be sp2 hybridized. Essential condition for chirality was that the carbon should be sp3 hybridized. It should be surrounded by 4 different groups. Here this carbon is going to be sp2 3 groups. This carbon is going to be sp2 3 groups. But still this molecule shows optical activity, because if you look at how these groups around the carbon, they are arranged, well, these 2 hydrogens, they are going to be in one plane, but the pi bond is going to be perpendicular to this one. So these 2 hydrogens, one is going behind the plane of the paper, the other is coming forward. from the plane of the paper. So you will not be able to draw a plane of symmetry. You will not be able to have a center of symmetry for this molecule. This molecule is going to be dissymmetrical, and hence it is going to show optical activity. Similar is the case for the biphenyl. So in the biphenyls also, all these carbons, they are going to be sp2 hybridized. Okay, but here what you can see is at the ortho position you have a NO2 group here and a NO2 group here, a Br here and a Br here. These are big size groups. So what happens is, because when they come close to another, they cause repulsion. Okay, so what happens is that they get oriented in a plane in such a way that one of the phenyl groups is going to be oriented in one plane and the other is going to be oriented in the other plane. So again what we find is that these two, they will not be having a plane of symmetry, they will not be having a center of symmetry. This molecule is also dissymmetrical, hence the biphenyls also show optical activity. So I hope now you understand that the necessary and sufficient condition for optical activity is going to be dissymmetry rather than the presence of a chirality center. A molecule may not have a chirality center, but if the molecule is dissymmetrical, well, it is going to show optical activity. It will be having a mirror image compound which is not going to be superimposable on it. Okay, so I hope now the whole concept is clear to you.
So that would be all for this lecture. I hope you enjoyed your learning with me today, and now also you will be able to identify if any molecule is given to you, whether that molecule is going to show optical activity or not. And once you have learned to establish in a molecule that it is going to show optical activity, well, you have to learn about the naming of these compounds, the R and S, the system of nomenclature or the R and S configuration of these compounds. So that is going to be following in the next lecture. So see you again. Have a nice day. God bless you.